The title of the article is How a Journalist Took an Ethical Stand and Risked Her Job. Natasha Bolognesi refused to edit a bogus article and was essentially taken to... This happened in South Africa. And one of their most notorious quackery promoting publications is closing down after 18 years. And
that's good news.
One brave journalist by the name of Natasha Bolognesi she stood up for evidence-based science, which ultimately led to the end of this publication. So Deline Totten, who is the owner, publisher, and editor of Natural Medicine, she's sad because it's her publication is shutting down. But the reason that they're shutting down is because Natasha Bolognesi, who is a journalism graduate, she was a copy editor.
Okay.
And it's a really important job, and you're not just tasked with correcting grammar and such, but you're also...
that's pretty important.
It's really important. It's really important because a comma misplaced can totally screw up the thrust of an article, if you will.
I love my parents, Superman and Wonder Woman. I love my parents, Superman and Wonder Woman.
There you go. Exhibit A. Exhibit A.
Right.
Yeah. So Deline Totten she's a special lady, and she's been promoting and marketing and selling a product called Wavex or Wavex. It's all capitals, WAVEX. And it's a small plastic chip, which its manufacturers and peddlers claim that you attach it to your cell phone and other mobile devices to reduce harmful radiation.
All right.
With probably no connecting links or anything. It's just stick it on the phone.
Well, it says that it's for mobile devices. It's a composite chip of 7 superposed layers outside of plastic, inside 5 layers with silver ink printed circuits, which, if they are exposed to the electromagnetic waves, weaken the passing harmful radiation and balance it with the magnetic field of your body, according to the marketing material.
Right.
Your body doesn't have a magnetic field.
It's total horseshit.
It doesn't?
Actually, your body, every molecule in your body, many molecules in your body. Well, I mean, like water, like hydrogen has a magnetic field. However, on average, they're all pointing in different directions, and they average out to 0. But like in an MRI, you align them all, right? And then you tweak them, and then that's how you can image things. So you do have magnetic fields in your body, but they're all...
But it takes a massive machine to do the thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a really powerful magnet to align them all, but they're totally all randomly aligned normally, and you have no net magnetic field. Just saying.
Right.
So that technically you do have a bunch of very small magnetic fields.
But the manufacturers of this product claim that it's scientifically proven.
Yes, of course.
When in fact it's all Fruit Loopery, according to the direct word used in this article, which I approve of. Pseudoscience masquerading as science to confuse and convince customers. All research quoted on its website reflect an absence of evidence that the product works. So it basically uses scare tactics to sell a scam products. And I could go into more detail about the product, but it's just another one of those bullshit products, like that Q-ray bracelet, things like that.
Wait. Q-ray bracelets work. Don't piss me off, Angela.
I love you, Lisa, but you're wrong.
One person told me one time it worked.
One time? That's anecdotal, Dave.
Yeah.
You can't.
Real people.
A statistically significant number of people told me, Angela.
Define statistically significant.
Or the Sniff-X bomb detector.
Yes, exactly. So Natasha was the copy editor at the time, and she had to edit essentially an article about this Wavex product. And she was sure that it was a scam, and she was worried about the effect it would have on the publication if she continued to sell it. So the sale and marketing of this became more intense, and Bolognesi became increasingly concerned. And Totten was using every issue of natural medicine to promote this product. So Bolognesi sent her an email on June 14th, 2017, saying to Totten that the research was not peer-reviewed and that organizations such as the Australian Radiation Protection and Nuclear Safety Agency and the U.S. FTC warned against such devices. So she stressed that the flawed scientific research and negativity surrounding this chip and others like it that are sold to a vulnerable and ignorant market, as well as the possibility of being charged with fraud, can only have a detrimental effect on you further down the line and detract from your company's credibility. So and it goes on to say the role of a good copy editor is vital in journalism. These unsung heroes of the profession, besides seeing to it that grammar is used correctly, also act as watchdogs to prevent libel and defamation creeping into copy. And they often act as quackbusters when products are marketed using false claims. Which is interesting to me, because there's some magazines that I'm thinking, doesn't the copy editor have... There's some, bullshit supplements and stuff that you see.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But the thing, supplements kind of get a pass in a lot of cases because of the way that they're actually...
A lot of people probably buy into it, too.
So many.
Yeah. But not just that, but there's also, because they're not technically medication or anything to that effect, they get... They basically, the only pass they have to get is, are they safe to eat?
Right.
Yeah. So this email that she sent was ignored, and 2 weeks later she received an instruction from Totten to copy edit, quote, at a lengthy pseudoscientific study that it worked. And the study was from the Ukraine, and Bolognesi refused to perform the instruction because she knew that studies from the Ukraine weren't reliable.
Right.
Oh.
And she explained she could not be held responsible in any way for promoting a product that was potentially fraudulent. And she was correct to doubt the credibility of the study. It could not be taken seriously. Most significantly, the research is done on quail embryos, and therefore study results cannot be satisfactorily related to humans, which, makes total sense. In fact, rodents are first for use for scientific medical research because they closely resemble human biological genetic
But even
behavior.
then you can't just say, I have a rat study. Now we can use that on humans.
Yeah, exactly. Pass. So the study also concluded that the findings allow recommending WaveX chip as a promising approach to reduce adverse effects of mobile phone radiation for human health.
But don't you think that cell phone using quails would actually have benefited from this study? Should they not have?
Yes.
Yeah, but they weren't reading this magazine.
The embryos,
they might have wanted to read it, those quails.
Do the embryos have the means with which to handle a cell phone? Could you put them in that scenario and measure radiation? I don't know.
Well, they're I guess birds don't carry the embryos in their bodies,
right.
So
It's a
I guess
petri dish.
it wouldn't really be their mothers using a cell phone.
Not necessarily.
Right.
They're not mammals.
So needless to say, Totten was pissed and threatened Bolognesi with disciplinary action if she refused to perform the instruction.
Help me show my shitter health.
Bullshit study. And so Bolognesi said, well, bring it. And
good for her.
Yeah. She was not only trying to protect the public, but ironically, Totten herself. So the Press Council's ethical code clearly states the media shall not allow commercial, political, personal, or other non-professional considerations to influence or slant reporting. Conflicts of interest must be avoided. So on July 5th of last year, Bolognesi was suspended from her work duties with no recourse to self-representation, which in this case amounted to an unfair labor practice with immediate effect pending a disciplinary hearing. And the disciplinary hearing took place at Totten's lawyer's office. Bolognesi represented herself. She had two expert witnesses on call, a media ethicist and an expert in science journalism from Stellenbosch University, as well as an electrical engineer, both witnesses having PhDs. They were very, very well read, obviously. hearing was confidential, and they can't name the witnesses. So Bolognesi had a very strong case. She made some very strong points. Out of a sense of duty in her role as copy editor, she had tried twice to warn Totten of the risks involved with WaveX and how important it was to give the public accurate information. Totten's instruction was not lawful nor reasonable because it requested content on the Ukraine study, non-validated research, which would involve making false and misleading representations to the public. Her third point was that the instruction was also unlawful because it involved conflict of interest. Not only did Totten sell the product herself, but an advertisement on the product would run alongside mentioning the study without mentioning that numerous other peer-reviewed scientific studies have contradicted the Yakimenko study from Ukraine. The experts made strong points, but the chair completely ignored them.
Who was this person? Were they working for the law office? Like, why was it happening there?
I don't know. They don't mention who presided over stuff.
Sorry, where was this taking place again?
South Africa.
Interesting.
And what's the organization? Like, is it a newspaper or a magazine?
Magazine called Natural Medicine.
Is it well known? Is it a reputable thing?
It was pretty reputable at the time, but it kind of just went south. So in the end, Bolognesi was found guilty of insubordination, despite sound evidence produced at the hearing. In the assessment, the chairman said that Ms. Bolognesi was appointed as a copy editor. The fact that she has qualifications alluded to, or that she performs work other than what she was appointed for, does not absolve her from following the instructions of her employer. Ms. Bolognesi was not asked to write an article in her own name. She merely had to furnish a summary of a scientific report. So she's basically, she didn't agree with what was instructed of her, and she didn't do it, and that is basically the only reason she was found to be insubordinate. But in the end, she's happy that it can be talked about in the public now. Like, she's kind of the takeaway is basically that the legal profession doesn't necessarily take into consideration scientific evidence. And there was a recent study in the Stellenbosch Law Review by Dr. Arnold Muller, mathematics expert at Stellenbosch University, severely criticizing our courts of law in the way they deal with forensics, showing the legal fraternity's ignorance about science. So it's kind of a bittersweet article. The magazine is done, and I mean, she was accused of insubordinate. She was found to be insubordinate, and she didn't win her case. But in the end, I mean, the magazine it's not promoting quackery anymore.
Right, yeah. It's a tough balance, I guess.
Yeah, but it's interesting that the legal system in South Africa doesn't really take science into consideration. Especially since they're so evidence-based. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I can imagine that the legality argument is kind of the dominant force in the decision, by the sounds of it. Where the whomever it was felt that it was a legal instruction, without concern for what she considered the ethical requirement. Because the ethical requirement isn't a legal requirement; it's kind of a set of personal ethics.
Well, the journalism ethics, though, she was operating within the ethics of being a journalist,
right?
And it's a copy editor's job is, like we already said, correct grammar, but also let's not get sued for this. Let's not,
Right.
But she didn't go to a professional association by the sounds of it. She went to, they had apparently a legal argument.
Well, they went to the
Is there a professional organization for such a thing in South Africa?
Probably.
This is
not.
probably the mechanism and the vehicle they have to deal with this. I would think so. That's why they went through it.
It might be hard. I mean, that's just it. Is I don't know. I know next to nothing about South Africa. So how they run their laws.
It's a little specific.
Yeah.
Well,
So Advocate Piet van Staden was presiding as chairman. So he was the one that made the decision.
Okay.
And they referenced the South African Press Council.
Okay.
And the ethical code of what the media is set out to do.
Right.
Okay.
Doing extreme things against your employer's wishes for ethical reasons is always a hard sell, right? I mean, I'm thinking like of a more extreme case, even like somebody like Edward Snowden. Right?
She did, and she did the right thing, ethically. Yeah, but whether that fits even their board ethical standards or the legal standards, of course, are going to be.
You're always going to have trouble. Like if you're, I don't know, you're going against a very large. A much stronger opponent if you're going against your employer, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Straight up. So,
yeah,
interesting story though.
Yeah, it was a good read.
Thanks, Angela.
You're welcome.